Yeah. CC on the beat. Yeah. I mean, where the should I really even start? I got numbers that they keeping in the dark. Numbers that they keeping in the dark. So Haney versus Prograis, the commission report has now been filed. And Leonard Ellerbe was correct. That's what I want to talk about in this video. Stay tuned. What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego. And I'm back with some more boxing. You know I had to do it to you. So Jedi Goodman, and I've used him before on the channel. Pause. He's someone on Twitter you could find for like big boxing and big UFC. He puts out the numbers and he gets the commission reports. You guys see it on the screen. What does it say? Hashtag boxing office report, or actually box office report. December 9th at the Chase Center, Matchroom Boxing, a gate of $1,724,020. So basically 1.7, which is what Leonard Ellerbe had to say. You know, it said the tickets sold, whatever, 13, comp tickets, blah, blah, blah. Capacity was 16. So it's safe to say these are the numbers in-house for the Chase Center. Now, on my video, I tell you time and time again, I am the best in the business, and it's not even close. The information that I provide you is reliable, and you could take it to the bank. And I do, you know, of course I have my opinion, but I put my opinion out there, and you see how often I get it dab smack on the money. Leonard Ellerbe put these numbers and was ridiculed, right? Now, I understand he put out pay-per-view numbers too, but the point I'm making is simple. He put out two numbers. Devin Haney Prograis, the live gate, and he gave props to the live gate, stating that it was a good live gate. He said, those are really solid numbers. Devin Haney, he's doing his thing. He can build off of that. And then the other number was the pay-per-view numbers with the 50,000. As I've said in my previous report, the only number that was, if anything, refuted by Bill Haney was the pay-per-view numbers. He's stating that it did better than the 50,000. But again, it leads me to this video that we're talking about, where you got two numbers and they came from Leonard Ellerbe. Other people reported too, but when I did my report, it was based on Leonard Ellerbe's tweet, right? And then now we get the actual commission report from the state of California, where the fight was had in my backyard, Bay Area, California. Yee, it yar. And the numbers were as he reported. So it's just funny because, I mean, including Devin Haney said that bald-headed uck doesn't know what he's talking about. You know, and it's pretty close. I'm paraphrasing, but that's pretty close to what he said on Twitter when these numbers broke. So let me get this straight. Leonard Ellerbe didn't know what he was talking about of Mayweather Promotions. Ellerbe didn't know what he was talking about when it came to numbers. But then one of the two, because the second number hasn't come out because DAZN won't officially release it, which people are still asking for nearly 2 weeks later. But one of the two numbers was dead on what he said. And when I made the video, people said, oh, Leonard Ellerbe, he has nothing to do with the show. How does he know anything about the numbers, good or bad, when he didn't promote the show? It was an Eddie Hearn event. It was a DAZN event, rematch room boxing event. So he's saying the comments I was seeing, the negative, because a lot of people get it, and I don't have to explain. What's understood don't really have to be explained. But there were some naysayers who doubted the numbers, and they said, oh, how would Leonard Ellerbe tell you what the numbers were when he wasn't the lead promoter and he had nothing to do with the promotion? But you guys see it on the screen. He got one of the numbers dead right. So obviously he knew something. And to me, if you worked in the sport of boxing, this is not really far-fetched, if you will, because at the end of the day, boxing is like a secret society. Boxing is a tiny and niche community. So when someone get beat up in sparring, especially if it's like a star, people, they talk. People talk. Things get around, People hang in different circles, and then information gets back too. So again, I'm still questioning how the people question Leonard Ellerbe's, connection, saying, oh, he has no idea about any numbers, but somehow he got the numbers. What he said was dead on. And people said, oh, Leonard Ellerbe, he's hating. He's just hating, trying to protect Tank. So if he was going to hate, then why didn't he say the live gate was far less than what it actually was? Why did he give the accurate number to one of two metrics? Somebody make this make sense in the comment section, because to me, that doesn't really make sense. If you want to hate, you're gonna slander somebody fully. You're not gonna halfway hate, partial hate, and then give the actual account of what the event did live gate, and then give it props. If you're gonna hate and then tell a false number that you didn't really hear from your sources. So I think it's safe to say Leonard Ellerbe is owed an apology in terms of, all the people said, oh, there's no way he knows what's going on. He clearly knew what's going on, because before this commission paper dropped, before the commission report actually dropped, and now you have boxing reporters and people who have gotten their hands on it, he was the first that I seen that were telling people what the live gate did. Now, if you don't believe the pay-per-view numbers did not do great, that's on you, because DAZN is a private company, so they haven't really released it. But I mean, you guys can play with me all you want. I'm not really here for play. This is my job, and I do the best at it. I don't beat around the bush. I'm blunt. My big mouth, like Pac said, my big mouth. I'm gonna tell you my honest opinion. You can subscribe if you love it. If you hate it, you can keep watching the videos, unsubscribe. It don't matter to me. I get paid the same. But at the end of the day, I told you my opinion on the numbers. It's not even, and this is not like, people take stuff in boxing so personal. Like, you're sliding Devin Haney to keep it real. Like, if your pay-per-view numbers did not perform, they didn't perform. I mean, it doesn't take away from Devin Haney's beautiful performance versus Regis Prograis. He looked like a star. He looked very good. I was there live. But again, you're not going to just walk me in the dark and have me believe anything. He was up against some different things like holidays. Bob Arum talked about this when he also sided with Leonard Ellerbe, somebody who's promoted Devin Haney, and he too said the numbers performed poorly and the number was disappointing. So everybody seems to be a liar except for anybody saying the numbers are great. Bob Arum's lying, Leonard Ellerbe's lying, me giving my opinion, I'm lying. It just doesn't make sense. There were certain things you're up against. The other thing is DAZN is not big in America, right? It's not a big monumental app where everybody has it, like Netflix, like Pandora or Hulu or Spotify or YouTube. Like, these are big apps right here in the United States. Nor was it an American promoter, meaning Eddie Hearn, he's from the UK. Oh yeah, bang mate. He's from another place. He might not know everything. Like, I could tell he doesn't know everything about America, because he's calling San Francisco San Fran. And I've been out here most of my whole life, and nobody calls it San Fran. There's nobody from out here that live here. That's what tourists say. And people think that California is small and Hollywood's up the street. That's not even how California is set up. It's easier to get and in shorter proximity. I'm in the Bay Area up north. To drive from the Bay Area to LA, despite it being the same city of same state of California, it takes longer for me to drive to LA than it does people who live in Las Vegas to drive to LA. So that's what I'm saying. People don't really understand. If you know, you know. So I could tell Eddie Hearn isn't from America based on some of the things he says. So why would he know everything about the American market, especially when he doesn't have his biggest fights? If you look at the biggest fights that Eddie Hearn has, they're mostly not American fights, right? He hasn't put on a Gervonta Davis and Ryan Garcia caliber fight in America. His biggest fights have been like Joshua and Klitschko or something, these types of fights. So it's okay, but I don't understand why the game of boxing has gotten so soft where people can't express their truest opinions. Devin's live gate looks good. These are the numbers, which is exactly what Leonard Ellerbe said. And now there's no dispute. And I said that in my past video. I was like, Bill Haney or nobody else denied or refuted the live gate numbers. The only thing they're contesting is the 50,000 number. But again, conventional wisdom, do you really think this fight did way better in America than fighting Lomachenko? And Lomachenko is more name known and recognized and like had bigger respect levels from boxing pundits than Regis Prograis. It doesn't mean you did a bad job. The Prograis-Haney fight, it was one-sided, but they did a good job with the banter and the back and forth stuff. But we can still keep it real. So the play, I believe, is people who are not okay with the number, they have something to, like, of course, they want you to believe the numbers are way better because we're talking about A side and we're talking about business, and you are going to be valued, and your valuation comes from the amount of interest that you can draw. So when we're talking about a future fight with Gervonta Davis and Devin Haney, yeah, those numbers could get used against you. So I can see why someone wouldn't want the numbers to appear low. But like I said before, Leonard Ellerbe is the one that stated the numbers were low. He was one of the first people to do it. So he's working with Tank. He's working with the Al Heyman and the PBC side. So that's what they believe, and DAZN still 2 weeks later hasn't come out and dropped any numbers on you, dropped the numbers on your head to suggest otherwise. So if Devin Haney and Gervonta, yes, they can fight, but in terms of the negotiations, they're probably going to hold them to the numbers that have been reported, and the numbers that their sources gave them. And apparently, like I said throughout this video, Leonard Ellerbe's source on the live gate, so he's at the very least, he's 50% right. And until DAZN drops the numbers for Haney Prograis on pay-per-view, then there's no way to prove 100% if he's 100% right and the numbers are 50,000 or close to that. But here's the other thing. Like I said, you're not going to pee on my leg and tell me it's raining. If the Haney Prograis numbers were sensational, why wouldn't there be a ton of write-ups and like a press release from DAZN or Eddie Hearn with the Matchroom cover head, saying, hey, a star is born. We had a great live gate with Devin Haney, and he also delivered big time on pay-per-view. I mean, that kind of goes without saying. Everybody's going to uplift and celebrate their highlights. Everybody, you look at Instagram. What is Instagram? It's just a bunch of people celebrating and highlighting their W's. If you get broken up with, you might not put that on the gram. You might not want everyone to know that you asked a girl out and she said no. But if you have a proposal and you propose to your longtime girlfriend and she said yes, then you might post that. You post a little picture on bended knee giving the ring. But if you propose and got on bended knee and she said, no, I don't love you, so I'm not willing to take it there, you're probably not going to post that on Instagram. So it's the same thing with numbers. It's common sense. So y'all owe Leonard Ellerbe an apology. He put out numbers, and really, to me, the numbers still haven't been refuted. And again, I see that being a potential complication for Haney and Gervonta negotiations, because at the end of the day, you're not going to be able to fool the people who have put on the biggest fights in boxing history. Al Heyman's worked with Floyd Mayweather, he did Floyd Mayweather, Pacquiao, and Conor McGregor. On that you tanking, who the, he's done these biggest fights. He's done Gervonta Davis fights with all of his fights, really, Ryan Garcia. So he has live gate records. They're not dumb when it comes to the business. Believe that. Anytime you actually put on events, good or bad, there's data and there's learning. So think about all the big fights that PBC had. There's analytics and data that come with that. So at the end of the day, they know kind of what to expect for certain fights and certain matchups. And I think that's why Crawford Spence became problematic at first, in trying to make the fight, because Crawford wanted X amount of money, but statistically, unless Errol Spence was willing to budge, which he did, he had to give up some things, give up some money to appease the Crawford side. But more often than not, when you're dealing with the A side, that's not how it works. When you're dealing with the A side, they want A side treatment, So now Haney's talking about fighting Ryan Garcia. I think that fight is a bit more realistic to happen for obvious reasons. They're both with DAZN. And to me, it just makes like the most sense, because I guess the argument of A, B side is a little bit fuzzier with Ryan Garcia and Devin, as opposed to Devin and Gervonta Davis. It's a parent who calls the shots in that equation. But again, Leonard Ellerbe was correct. And I had to make this follow-up video because there was a lot of people in the comment section that said, oh, Leonard wouldn't know, he had nothing to do. Well, the commission report came out and the numbers were exactly what he said they were in terms of the live gate. Boom.